All right. So more than likely you took, there we go. You took a look at Google Classroom and you found your quadratic formula notes. Now, whenever you click on it, if you wanted to do that, you'll notice that it looks exactly like what you printed. But you can't really edit anything, which is kind of frustrating. So if you see this little like arrow up here and give it a push, it's going to give you this option to with the little pencil that you can literally edit. So if you select that, it's going to ask you to download Google Slides. And that's exactly what I want you to do. All right. So if you install Google Slides, even from your cell phone, you could edit your document. Now, I'm going to be showing you, not on my cell phone because that's tiny. I'm going to show you how to edit this on your actual computer. So let's bring that back up. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Ah, there we go, because I had it all miniature. There we are. Okay, so once again, going into classwork, clicking, and opening it up. Now, I'm going to try and give you guys a couple more of these notes through Google Slides. And the reason I like this is because it's less actual writing for y'all. And I know how frustrating it can be to have to write things down. So quadratic formula, nothing new. We've already been doing these sort of things. We've been dealing with quadratics. Once again, remember that it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Zoom into that, as a matter of fact. Now, whenever it comes to your A, B, and C, A and B are going to be coefficients, and C is a constant. Now, you're literally taking those numbers and putting it into this formula right here. Negative B plus minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay, and let's zoom back out. There we go. All right, now, whenever it comes to your equation, I went ahead and rewrote it using some different shapes here. So remember that your A is a coefficient. So I'm actually going to highlight A. So Cassie, if you want, you can literally grab your highlighter or your colored pens. But I'm going to highlight it in green. I'm literally just going to take it and drag it on over. Now, whatever number, it doesn't matter. It's likely to be an integer, either positive or negative. Sometimes it's rational. But it doesn't matter. Whatever number is in front of x squared, that is your leading coefficient, A. Then you have your second coefficient, B. Now, notice that I did not highlight the x. I only care about the number in front of x, all right? And similarly, you also have your C value. C is the only special one that is just a number by itself, aka a constant. Now, what we're going to be doing is literally taking these numbers and placing it into the formula. Now, notice that there's a negative sign in front of this blue B. The negative sign will always be in front of that B. Doesn't matter whether or not this B value is already negative, there will always be a negative symbol in front of it. We have another B here, and it's being squared. And then we have A. A and 4, what's happening between A and 4? Do you know?
Isn't it like, aren't they being multiplied?
Yes, absolutely. Good. All right. So 4 times A and then also times C. So if you want, you can literally put little dots in between or parentheses if you'd like. Now, the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is they don't realize that this line, that line signifies division. That line is underneath everything that we just finished doing. So that means everything is going to be divided by 2 times A. And as a matter of fact, bring this up here. All right, now we want to discuss the discriminant. So I wanted to bring this up on here because I realized that I had like a weird issue whenever I was on my phone. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick so we can take a look here. So whenever I opened it up, all right, here we go. What I realized is that, yes, I can edit, and I was able to, do the same sort of things, bring this A over and highlight just like I did on the screen. But the biggest problem I had on here was actually trying to type here. Like no text box came up. What you actually have to do is double click on it. Whenever you double click, then your QWERTY board should come up and you can start typing. So we have a new term here. And the term is discriminant. Does that sound any bit familiar to you? Kind of, right? But not exactly sure?
Not exactly sure.
Okay.
But it does sound familiar.
Right? So the discriminant is, let's see if I can get an orange. Because actually this was something that I didn't do. So I'm going to put a little orange box here. Hopefully it will show up in orange. If not, I'm going to have to change that. Okay. So your discriminant is actually your Radican. I'm not too sure if you recall your Radican from, oh gosh, what page number was that on? So our Radican is anything below our radical symbol. So I think I'm gonna probably not use that at all. So we can type into here and say that it is B and then squared.
Wasn't it on page 8? Parts of a radical?
Yes, thank you. Page 8. Oh, you see, I tell you, I'm like in between places. I don't even have my notebook. I'm so bad. So sorry. All right, so it's literally B squared minus 4AC. Now, what I like about the discriminant is that it tells us how many solutions. Now, solutions is another word for x-intercepts. I'm going to give you a quick second so that you can write that down there. Now, we only have a couple of options for how many possible solutions that we could have. And that's actually what I have written down on the side for you. And you can literally drag and drop, but since you went ahead and printed yours, you can just write it on in. So let's begin with a positive number. What if I had a number that was greater than 1? Now, if B squared minus 4AC, if all of that equals a number that's bigger than 1, then that actually means that we have 2 x-intercepts. So if we were to think about that, here I'm going to show you on a piece of paper. So if you'd like, you can even draw this in here. Oh gosh. I'm like literally having to open up a brand new pack. There we go. All right. So if we have two solutions, that would be kind of like a parabola that looks like this, because here it's crossing the x-axis at two different positions. So that means it has two solutions. But, so back to the diagram here. Let's say that we had our discriminant is actually equal exactly to 0. Now, if I have my discriminant b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, then actually I only have one solution. There we go. So the way that would look on a graph, let me write that out first. Well, one solution. So on a graph, that would kind of look, and you know what, maybe this one I'll do negative. So my parabola is facing down like a frown, right? Now here, you notice that it literally is touching my x-axis at one point. Some people don't think that that's an x-intercept because it's not technically crossing, but an x-intercept is whether or not it crosses or touches this x-axis. So this one's going to be just one solution. So you could probably guess what goes into the next set of blanks. If I have no solution, that's called no real solution. And maybe if we have time, we'll discuss non-real answers. That would be something like this. Do you want it to be positive or negative?
Either way.
Either way? All right. Well, you know what? We'll be positive right now. There we go. Now, notice on this parabola, it's not touching. It's not crossing our x-axis. It's nowhere near our x-axis. So we're not going to try and put little dots. I've seen people try and put dots on weird places. This has no solution. It has no x-intercept. It's not crossing whatsoever. So don't make up anything. It really is that simple. So let me go back to our notes and fill that in. So that would be if my discriminant produces a negative answer, I don't care what number it is, as long as it's negative, then that means we have no real solution. There we go. Now, what I noticed is on your last set of notes, not you in particular, I can't remember, Cassie, I think you wrote it correctly. But I noticed that a lot of people, they wrote page 19, and that was my bad. I used an old recording. Our last set of notes was actually page 36. So this time I numbered it for you guys. Do you think you're ready to move on to the back side?
Yes.
Yep, okay. All right, let's go ahead and you can flip on over and I'll just go ahead and move on to the next slide. Now, I will give you the option. Do you want me to do the left side or, oh, sorry, there we go, the left side or the right side with you? Because you're going to do half the problems on your own.
Let's do left side.
The left one? Okay, so we're going to start off easy. And you notice how I have like a couple of shapes like floating around everywhere. Since you have your colors, you can do one of two things. You can either use your highlighters and draw it on your own, or you can, again, continue using the notes that I provided. And I want you to drag and drop. So, first and foremost, let's see. There we go. Here we are. Okay. Our first problem, we have 5x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. So, Cassie, what do you think I should put a green box around? Because that's my A value.
Um, the 5, where it has the
Five.
5x squared.
Okay, perfect. I agree. Okay, so 5. Love it. And I can't remember if I can. Okay, good. So I went ahead and double clicked onto our little green box below, and I'm going to type 5 right there. All right. What do you think I should circle in blue because that's my B value?
Well, I know it says -2x, but would it be changed to a positive because it has the plus, or would it still remain as a negative?
That is an excellent question. So remember I told you it doesn't matter whatever the number is in front. Now, the sign in front of it is also attached to the number. So I would agree with your first postulation there that it's -2. Let's go ahead and write that in there. So in that case, I'm pretty sure you should be confident on what do you feel your C value is.
Isn't it -1?
Yes, ma'am. And then I'm going to go ahead and double click and type in here -1. Now, I switched this up because I know I gave you some shapes to begin with, but what I've noticed is usually whenever I keep it with shapes, a lot of kiddos get very, very confused. So hopefully I know some of you guys have issues seeing color, and oh gosh, I apologize. But I switched it over to parentheses in color. Now, like I said, the biggest problem is a lot of people don't realize that negative is always out there. As a matter of fact, if you try and click on that negative, I mean, I am clicking, nothing's happening, okay? I cannot change the fact that negative's there. So let's go ahead and fill in these blue parentheses. Obviously, the blue I'm gonna type in. What do you think? Sorry?
Oh, I had said 2 because
Almost?
just 2. Oh, -2?
Yes, excellent, -2. Don't worry. And you were thinking because the fact that there was that negative right here, right?
Right.
Okay, so in that case, you know what I should type into this other blue parentheses, right?
Yes, it would be -2.
-2 again. And what I like about having these all in color is because I have 2 green parentheses, one here and one here. Doesn't matter, both of them are both gonna have what number?
Both 5, +5.
+5, okay, so then in that case, I'm just gonna type it in right now. That means that these pink parentheses should have
A -1.
Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch up here. And I see I have a blue and a green and a pink. Perfect. Let me pop open some of these colors here. Alrighty. And I'm going to switch back to paper.
Ms. Gomez.
Gosh, yes.
I remember doing this last year for Algebra 2, and I know we had used the calculator to solve this, but does this require to solve by using a calculator, or we have to do it by
I am not going to force you to go and get an exact answer. Well, technically, I am going to show you how to get an exact number. I don't want an approximate decimal answer, no. Some of the problems that you're going to get in IXL, they will be perfect integers. Some of them are going to be ugly. And I'm about to show you an example of an ugly one. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. Bring this back up. All right, so you have here a -2 and then plus minus square root. And then you have this -2 here that is being squared minus 4. And then you have your A, which is 5, and 5 here. And then C, right, which was -1. All right, now, nonetheless, we were going to be going over this. And remember that in CPM, a lot of the time you're not allowed to have a calculator. So that's why I'm going to show you how to just keep, to focus on certain areas, and we're just going to keep simplifying as much as possible. So usually what I like to do, I'm going to grab a couple more colors here, like probably yellow, because that kind of mimics a highlighter. And the easiest thing I see to do is right here, because that's just equal to what?
By multiplying wise or?
Yeah.
Oh, 10. Positive
10. Perfect. So let's just replace that with 10. Okay. That wasn't too bad, right? So now let's move on to something that's a little bit more difficult. Well, probably not. This one's just as easy. So here I have a negative sign, parentheses -2. Now parentheses, just like you were telling me, means to multiply. So what's a negative times a negative?
Positive.
Positive. So negative times -2 is?
Positive 2.
Now here's a good question. Do you want me to write a plus sign in front of it?
Well, I know some people often get confused, so I would say just in case, yes.
You know what? How about this? I'll do a little dashed one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now, is that plus sign necessary? Absolutely not. But just like you said, in case you're not sure, yeah, you can go ahead and write that plus sign in front of it. Now, what is necessary is this plus minus sign. And now this is where people get a little freaked out. So because on the front we were talking about discriminant and everything for discriminant was in orange, I'm going to go ahead and circle this area in orange here. So we want to try and figure out our discriminant. So I want to do a little scratch work here and I'm going to label it. All right. So first and foremost, I have -2 and it's being squared. So whenever something's being squared, that means that you take it and you multiply it by itself. So -2 times -2 is?
Positive 4.
Positive 4, okay. And again, I'll draw a little dashed plus sign. Now, this second part of the discriminant is also kind of confusing because it says -4 times, I'll put that in parentheses too, 5 times -1. Now, what I suggest here is you can use your commutative property of multiplication and also associative, and you can move things around if you want, or you can group it. So usually what I like to do is I usually like to use the grouping associative property, and I want to look at just one part at a time. So here I see -4 times 5 is?
-20.
Okay, so I'm going to write that down. I'm going to put that in brackets because that's what we did. We used the associative property to say that that is -20. And then that -1 is still there.
So therefore, it would be a positive 20.
Exactly. Now that's where this completely changes here. So according to the front side of our notes, 4 plus 20 is equal to?
24.
Okay, so let's rewrite. That would be 2 plus minus square root of 24. Now is 24 positive, negative, or equal to 0?
Well, it's more than 0.
It is more than 0. So in that case, how many possible solutions would I have?
2.
2. So it would look something like this, right? Now, 24. The last bit that I'm going to do here for you guys is, and the main reason for this is because of the fact that, well, you guys are seniors. My freshmen, I usually stop you guys here, and I can tell you that's your final answer. But you guys should know how to do this part. So we're going to take this a little bit further. So I'm going to say 2 plus minus, and I'm going to put my 10 on the bottom. Now, 24, I want you to think back at your perfect squares. Could I break down 24 Yeah, I think that's page 4, maybe?
Page 5, I think.
Page 5, okay. So take a look at your perfect squares. Is 24 divisible by any of those perfect squares?
No.
You sure about that? I'm going to try and bring up my perfect square list as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm on the right page because it's on page 5 where it has square radicand on the left side, and then on the right side it has the cube.
Yes, so we're looking at the perfect squares, the left side.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me bring mine up. I think I have a digital copy. Oh, I don't have it. Womp, womp, womp. So if I were to list out all the factors of 24, I would begin with 1 times 24, and then 2 times,
2 times 12.
3 times,
3 times. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the quicker
oh, that's
way.
okay, that's all right.
3 times 8.
And 4 times
4 times 6.
5?
5, no.
No, and then 6 is right here. Now, do you see any of these numbers, any of these 8 numbers listed as a perfect square?
What do you mean by that specifically?
So it should say square, and there's a 4 there. And it says that the square root of 4 is 2, right?
Yes.
Ah, there we go. So if I were to break it apart, I could say 4 times 6, right? Okay. Now, we had learned that with radicals, we can break it apart even more. So that would be 2 plus minus, and my 10. I could say the square root of 4, running out of space, square root of 6. Now, you already told me that the square root of 4 is
2.
2. So I'm going to scratch that off, and I'm going to put a giant 2 right there, and then I'm going to rewrite. All right, so that's 2 plus minus, and I'm going to put that red 2 so that you know where it came from. Square root of 6 over 10. Now I know that this is seeming a bit complicated here because now, taking a look, 2, 2, and 10. Do they have a GCF? Do they have a number that they're all divisible by? 2, 2, and 10.
I was thinking 2.
2, right? So we're going to factor out that 2. So again, the reason why it seems so complicated is because, well, we're wearing our, big senior panties right now, and we know how to do this. So 2 times 1 plus minus 1 square root of 6 over 2 times what would give me 10?
Times 5.
5. And Cassie, do you remember what happens whenever you have 2 over 2?
Reduces to 1.
Oh, you make me so happy. It does reduce to 1. So in that case, all this jazz inside the parentheses, that's your final answer. So you would write your final answer as 1 plus and minus. Now I will tell you, this 1 you don't have to write, but I'm going to write it because I'm pretty sure it would be confusing without it. and then all over 5. That's my final answer. So let me box that. Final answer. Now, I know I wrote really big on this piece of paper here. So you have to do on your own the one that says x squared minus 8x minus 16 is equal to 0. And let's see, I used about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what? That was about half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll skip over. I'll skip a couple of lines. Now, if you want to flip over to the back side of your paper, you're good. Or since you have yours printed, Cassie, you can even grab out a scratch piece of paper if you wrote across, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and do the next problem. Now, I let you choose the first problem, but what I want to do is actually, so I'm going to share my screen here really quick so that you can see which one I'm going to do next. Goodness. There we go. So the one I want to do is actually this bottom right-hand corner. So I'm going to write that one down really quick. That one says x squared minus 4x is equal to 1, which doesn't look like what we have down here where it says ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This time it's equal to 1, and I don't like that fact. Now, again, this is for the people who are using digital, the digital notes. There's this cool thing that I saw here, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So I'm going to open up a new tab, and just making sure. Can you see this new tab that I opened up, Cassie? Just a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yes, I can see
Yes.
it.
Okay, cool. So it's called drawings.google.com. Now, drawings.google.com is really cool because it gives you, are you familiar with what this like checkerboard background look, why it looks checkered?
Isn't it? Well, I think because it's like transparent in a way.
Good. All right. I just want to make sure that you understood that. Yeah. So that's the cool thing about it is that you can start like drawing anything and it doesn't have a background to begin with if you don't want it to. But so I'm just going to do a little scratch work here, and I want to show you that we could literally write on your computer and then drag it over to the other side. So I'll just show you one at a time. So right now it says, well, first off, I'm going to change this right here to scribble so I can like literally write. You can either use your mouse pad, or if you're using your iPad or something like that, you can write a lot better. So on my laptop, it's a touch screen, so I'm going to write right now. And I'm going to write x squared minus 4x is equal to 1. Now, the thing is, I need this 1 to be 0. So that literally means that I need to eliminate it. Do you remember how I can possibly eliminate that 1?
Well, I was thinking before that you have to like subtract the 1, so like positive 1 minus 1, so that would give you 0.
Yes, I'm going to do exactly what you said. So I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to put that in a different color here, red. There we go. So I'm going to subtract that 1, and just like you said, that eliminates it. It becomes a big fat 0. Now, the thing is, once it's eliminated from the right side, what now?
Don't you have to do the, well, I wouldn't say do this. You would have to like kind of like do it with the same thing, like move it over to the left side, but there's really not another constant. So it would be like x squared minus 4x minus 1.
Like maybe something like that. Oh, that looks like a 2.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, there we go. God, that looks awful. So if I were to rewrite it, there we go. I bring it down and it would be x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals, now this time it's eliminated and it's equal to 0. So now the reason I want to show you how to do this on here, obviously, I mean, you have your paper printed out, you could have just written it on the paper, is because if I go to File and Download and save it as a PNG, I know a lot of you guys are like used to GIF images like that move and stuff like that, and it can also have a transparent background, but apparently so does PNG. So I'm gonna save it as PNG, and you see how it pops up down here as an untitled drawing? So if I come back over to my slide, oh, there we go. So whenever I come back to my slide, I can, is that the one that I was using? Yeah. I can insert an image. And so I'm gonna go to select from my computer. And the last thing that I had downloaded here, because I'm in my downloads, that drawing, and then I can just drag it over here. Well, first I'm gonna shrink it because gosh, that's huge. And I can just put it right here. Maybe shrink it a little bit more and scooch it over. There we go. So now I can like write exactly just like you were writing in your notebook. You can write on a digital image and you can save it, print it out later if you want. Now, nonetheless, now I want to fill this out here. So now that it looks the right way, Cassie, what should I type here in front of my x squared?
Well, it's like an invisible 1, so it would be 1.
I agree, it is an implied 1. So what's my b value?
Let's see. From the last problem where it had like a -2, despite that there's a plus sign, I think keep it as the same as always, so it would be a -4.
I agree. That would be a -4. And what should I type here for my c value?
That would be a -1 based off of what we had solved.
Okay. So in that case, over here in these blue parentheses, again, I could type
-4.
-4. Okay. I see kind of squinting there, so let me make that a little bit bigger. Sorry. Is that better? All right. Okay, so you told me to type -4, and that would be the same over here in this blue one, -4. What about the green ones down here?
+1, of course, but 1 in general.
One. Okay. So I'll just type a 1 here and a 1 there. And in here?
-1.
-1. Looks it. All right. So in that case, I can go ahead and rewrite. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and clear everything off of here. Gosh, that's taking a while. There we go. So I can just write it here and say x equals, and I'm going to put a long equal sign here. And remember how I had shown you, let me move that over here. That's much easier. So let's go ahead and start with my bottom side here with my denominator. That's 2 times 1, which is simply?
+2.
+2. Okay. And how about this here? Negative times -4 is?
+4.
+4, okay. And plus, minus, and then a long radical. I know I have a lot of work to do in there. Now, there we go. All right, so now let's look here. Now, I have -4 squared. That means -4 times -4 is
Is positive 16.
positive 16. So that's a 1, and I'll put that in orange because that's my discriminant. Okay, positive 16. Now, the thing is, I have -4 times 1, which is?
Which is -4.
It is still -4. So what's -4 times -1?
Positive 4.
Positive 4. And that's what we're going to write here. Plus 4. So in that case, my discriminant is 16 plus 4, which is equal to?
20. Positive 20.
Yeah, let's go ahead and rewrite that then. So I'm going to write x equals then 4 plus minus square root of 20 all over 2. Now that 20 there, does that tell us we have 2, 1, or 0 solutions?
Well, it's obviously greater than 0, so it'd be 2.
2 solutions, yeah. Now, oh dear, let's look at 20. Can I possibly break down that 20 into a perfect square, kind of like I did with that 24?
Yes, well, the easier way, like you had shown, is try maybe like making a list of groups to see what equals to 20.
Okay, let's do that then. I'll go ahead and do that scratch work right here. So that's 20 and then 1 times.
1 times 20.
Okay, and then 2 times.
2 times 10.
Okay. 3?
No.
4?
4 times 5.
Oh, and well, 5, that's already here on this side. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20. Are any of these perfect squares?
Let's see, the 4.
The 4, yeah, I absolutely agree. That 4 is the one that I want. So let's go ahead and rewrite this again. And that would be x is equal to 4 plus minus the square root. You know what? Actually, since I already know, square root of 4 times the square root of 5 all over 2.
But since we know the square root of 4 is equal to 2, so then you would put a big 2 over the square root of 4.
Oh, I love it. I agree. So cross that off here. I love that you were like, write a big 2. All right, there you go. Giant 2. Okay, so let's rewrite. Okay. Why doesn't it want to rewrite? Oh, haha, I knew that. Okay, x is equal to 4 plus minus 2 square root of 5 over 2. So once again, I am concerned with my 4. Put that. My 2 and my 2. Do they have a GCF?
Yes, of 2.
Yeah. So let's factor out that 2. Right. Equals. And we're going to pull that 2 out. So 2 times what gets me 4?
2 times 2.
Okay. And then plus minus. And then 2 times what gets me 2?
2 times 1.
Okay. There we go. Then I'm going to bring over that square root of 5. I can't forget it. And again, 2 times what gets me 2?
1.
All right, now, what happens to this 2 over 2?
Reduces to 1.
Let's reduce to 1. Make that one giant again. So in that case, what's my final answer?
Well, since there's a 1 underneath the denominator, or what's underneath the fraction, I would say, then it would just be 2 plus minus 1 square root of 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that case, I could, I'm lazy. I don't know about you, but I agree with Cassie that that would be my final answer. Now, you know what though? That looks really ugly, so I think I'm going to have to rewrite that as well. I'm trying to see if I could make this a little bit bigger. Here, page setup. That didn't help at all. Let me go and make that a little bit bigger. Custom, and I'm going to change this right here. There we go. Of course. All right. They're just messing with me now. Okay, so that means I'm going to write it really small. All right, so equals, and then 2. Let's bring down that pixel size there. There we go. Plus, let's make that look like a plus sign. Minus this, oh, we said that that would be a 1. Okay, and then square root. Oh, come down. Oh, wow. This is looking very ugly. Okay, there we go. 5. And now, since you said that it's over 1, do I really have to write over 1?
No.
Nah. Now, on that note then, do I even have to put this 1 right here? Actually, no. But I understand that some people might get a bit confused. So I'm just going to leave it there. And I'm going to box my answer. And let's put it in pink, because why not? Now, I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. I'm going to download it as a PNG, just so that I can literally paste it onto these notes here, so that you guys can see it. So I'm going to go to Insert and Upload. There we go. And I know it looks really huge right now, so I'm going to scale it down. And then maybe, you know, flip it back to normal. There we go. There we go. And I can paste it on here. And what I like about this is that I can literally just zoom in and out until I get my image to be exactly where I want it to be. Stretch it all I want. There we go. Perfect. So I'll zoom back in here. And you can see a bit of my work there. Look at that. It looks tiny. I really squeezed it in there, that answer. All right. Now, so what I want you to do, you guys should have been able to either one of two things. If you were like Cassie and you wanted to print out your notes, awesome. Or you could have just written it on a piece of notebook paper like I did. But if you are really intrigued by using this drawings.google.com to write your answers and such, you can do that as well. I wanted to show you guys a whole bunch of different ways to show your work. So what we have done so far is I did this first left problem, that means you guys have to solve x squared minus 8x squared minus 16. And I also gave you 3x squared minus 4x is equal to negative 4. That's what I need you to do for homework. Now, if you want to show your work like I did here on the computer, you can. If you're like, oh my God, please, no. That's okay. You can do your notes over here on a piece of paper, just like we've been doing before. Just do me a favor, make sure you box your answer, all right? Or highlight it, something, because I'm gonna be checking for those 2 problems, all right? So you guys are in charge of this one, and then the other one was, what again? 3x squared minus 4x is equal to negative 4. You like how I changed that real quick? That's magic, that's what that is. So those are the 2 problems that I'm going to be checking. Now, nonetheless, you're gonna get 2 grades, just like last time, okay? I'm gonna give you a grade for doing all the front side and also the 2 problems that we did together, okay? That's you doing your notes, okay? Sorry, I feel silly that I'm like talking into the other thing here. Oh, there we go. All right, sorry. So you're going to be turning in 2 things. You're going to turn in your notebook paper and or your digital notes, okay? I'm checking your notes in its entirety, front page and back page. If you did the front page online by dragging and dropping and typing in, perfect. Just take a picture of the back side of your notes and attach it onto the document. A lot of people, they just thought if they push submit, they would get, their grades. I was nice last time and I gave you a grade literally just for saying, I watched the video, but I gave you another grade for showing me your notes, okay? So either you have printed your notes or you have handwritten the front and back side of your notes. You have to attach your notes on here for your 2nd grade, okay? Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, do you have any questions for me?
So I know that sometimes taking pictures of notes and everything, it can look really bad and everything. What I suggest, this is from one of my friends, credits to Melanie Castillo. She had discovered this app called Cam Scanner, and I know people who have iPhone users, they have it right away and such, because theirs is more developed. So for those who have Androids, like for me, I have a Samsung, and so what I do whenever I take a picture is I use an app called Cam Scanner. It should be popping up, yeah, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it shows you the pictures of what you have. And right here, there's a green button. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm gonna lower it. So right here, so you press it right here, this little camera button, and it basically takes a picture. So right here, if you take a picture of it, then it's gonna like crop your paper into how you exactly see it as in person, but on the phone. So it like kind of like crops it into the same length and width of how you have it right here.
Okay, I get you. So I use a similar app. I'm really glad that you brought that up. So I'll share this one as well. Here we go. And actually, last time that I had taught, here we go. The college prep math, I used to keep all of their notes online. And so like, what I like is literally it, lower that down a little bit more. There we go. Ooh, that looks blurry. There we go. So I like it as well because here I can edit and crop things just the way you were saying. And so you can see my desk with like all the other junk all around it. And I took a picture of just the notes, and I could even put a filter and make it look like a colored Xerox copy or leave it as a photo. Now, is this necessary? No. But what's cool is whenever you share it, you don't have to attach it as a JPEG. You can change it to a PDF. You can upload it directly to your Google Drive, things like that. But honestly, all that jazz, not even necessary, because whenever you go in, like if actually they made a classroom for the teachers as well, they give us assignments. I don't know if they realize what Google Classroom is, but that's how I was able to see what you guys see whenever you're trying to submit assignments, because some of you guys were having questions about that. So let me go into our faculty one, and I'm going to go, here we go. So so this is something like what you guys would be seeing. All right, here we go. So I went under classwork, and I have assignments here. So this one here, it says no due date, but you know, I give you guys due dates. So what you'll notice is it says here your work assigned. This is what people have been missing. It says add attachment. So from here, you can go to take a photo and just take your picture. And yeah, just like you were saying, Cassie, sometimes it might come out really blurry or things. If I can't see what it says, then I might ask you to take another picture. But that's how easy it is to attach. You don't have to create a document and make it fancy. Nah, boo. Do easy. Work smarter, not harder. Just take a photo and then, sure, whatever. And then, you know, do your take a picture of your work, not just your pens, like Ms. Gomez would do. And that's how easy it is. Once you attach it, then you push submit, and that's it. But thank you, Cassie. I really appreciate that, because you're right. A lot of people did have questions of how to attach their actual notes. So if you just printed out your notes and you didn't want to deal with the digital images, I'm cool with that. All right. But some of you guys don't have printers, and I didn't want you to have to write down all of that stuff that was on the front side. Math, hey, you know, fine, but writing down a whole bunch of words and sentences and images, I didn't want you guys to have to do all of that. If you want to, all right, cool, do you, all right? But if you're like, I'm lazy, literally just use the app, drag it over, type it in, all right? Y'all again. There we go. So just drag over the stuff, type in the answers, whatever it is. And the thing is that I gave each one of you guys one of these. So don't worry, you can do whatever you want to. I'm just going to check that you did the right stuff, that you typed whatever I typed. You know, if you didn't do anything on the second page, that's okay. That's completely fine. So you see here how I'm connected, and it even like shows that all that weird, ugly work that I did. But if you don't do the second page, that's okay. Take a picture of it and attach it. All right. So you guys have 2 problems to do, and you have a whole week. All right. I will say that Region 20 did give me a semester exam for you guys. Oh goodness. I don't know what the function they're thinking. What I will say is that Harlandale ISD has come to the decision that we're not having semester exams. So I'm going to find out a little bit more about that because I don't, they gave me the exam and expected me to know what to do with it. So for now, no, there's not a semester exam, but apparently some of these school districts have been able to teach them everything. This was actually going to be one of the last things that we were going to learn because it was so easy. But since we're kind of limited to just 1 day a week that we can give you guys assignments and stuff, I wasn't going to get into rationals. Now, rationals, that is a big part of college algebra. And if we even get to it, we're only going to be able to scratch the surface. If you're not aware, look at my calendar, but your grades for seniors are due at the end of the month. So they had originally told me the 22nd. So I'm still going to keep to that and make sure that all of you guys' grades are in by the 22nd. That means that we only have, two more assignments before grades are due. So there's no way in heck that we're going to be able to even get to rationals. Things are still developing. I know some of you guys are concerned about your TSI exemption. Last I was told is that they're going to be looking at your cycle 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because at that point, we were still regular in the classroom, doing all of our student learning objectives, and we were on course. We were on track. But having to come back from a 3-week spring break, I had to reteach factoring. So we really lost all that time there. I don't see how it's possible for us to get everything in. But if anything changes with that semester exam, I'm going to let you guys know immediately. But for now, you don't have to worry about a semester exam. All right, so you have this assignment, next week's assignment, and the week after that, and that's it. We're done. So please, some of you guys were like sending me stuff last minute. Grades are going to be due on the 22nd. All right, so just get your stuff done as soon as possible. Put submit. I put in grades usually on Tuesdays because I want to give you guys time. I know the due date is on Monday at 10 p.m., but I know some of you guys are straggling and you turn it in late. I get tired of resubmitting stuff. So just make sure that you do it before the 22nd. All right. Okay. Well, in that case, that does it for me. And Cassie, thank you so much for participating and letting me know how things were looking on your end. I hopefully we'll have another set of notes and we'll be able to see each other again.
Okay.
All righty, cool beans. You have yourself a great one. Bye.